All right. So this week we are learning about compound and complex sentences and how lovely commas go into them, because commas make the world go round, okay? And you're like, Mrs. Kneifel, who cares? No, you got to have commas, because commas can change the meaning of our sentences sometimes, and I'll show you some examples of that later. Nolan, please do the right thing. We're going to work on 2 parts of the grammar today, then we'll finish it out with the 3rd part tomorrow. Starting Wednesday, there will be no more live grammar for at least 10 weeks, because we will now have Mrs. Bunch at 11:40 when normally grammar is. So now instead of grammar, we'll have Mrs. Bunch. Friday, we have the, obviously that's when we go over our whole packet. So anyways, we were talking about commas and semicolons. Semicolons are definitely a little bit harder to understand, but guess what? We rarely ever have to use them, which is a good thing. So punctuation in compound and complex sentences. Commas and semicolons are punctuation marks. Yeah, we know that. They're little marks. You put them in sentences. And they are used to separate 3 or more items within a series or list. So when we're making a list or a series, or we need to separate things, you use a comma or a semicolon. So here's an example. I ate a sandwich, comma, an apple, comma, and celery for lunch. So sandwich, apple, celery, that's 3 things. I threw a commas in there. And then you're like, okay, so when do we use a semicolon? Semicolons are used when there are already commas in a sentence. So basically, the only time we're really going to use semicolons are when we are listing dates, because dates already have commas in it. For example, Friday, February 9th, there's already a comma between Friday and February. So it would look silly if we added another comma. So instead, you use semicolon. So February 7th, semicolon, Friday, comma, February 9th, semicolon, and Monday, comma, February 12th. So we use those semicolons when there's already commas, because otherwise there would be so many commas in this sentence, it would be crazy. So that's why we use a semicolon instead, okay? So if you see dates in grammar this week, no, you're going to use a semicolon, okay? Just put that in your little brain right now, okay? Remember that for later. So a compound sentence has 2 independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction and a comma. A complex sentence has 1 dependent clause joined to an independent clause separated by a comma. So sometimes we use commas to list things, but we also use them to just separate the way a sentence is worded. So Layla reads a novel. That's an independent clause. That could be all by itself. Layla reads a novel. Okay, that's fine. Comma, but, so our conjunction is but, which we've already learned about conjunctions in the past. I have a comma. Jack watches TV. Also independent. Remember when we talked about independent and dependent clauses earlier in the year? Remember, dependent is a child. It needs help. It needs extra stuff. Independent could be all on its own. So here I'm just separating 2 things with a comma and but, okay? Layla reads a novel, Jack watches TV. That would be kind of like a run-on sentence if we didn't have the comma and the conjunction in the middle. Now here, although Layla asked Jack to be quiet, comma, he turned up the volume. He turned up the volume could be all alone. That's fine. Although Layla asked Jack to be quiet, that is not fine. That is dependent. It has that although there, so I need my independent clause at the end, okay? So they need each other, all right? So let's just do a few of these together. And we'll do some more on your homework packet together too, so don't panic, okay? Identify the correct punctuation to use in each sentence. I'd like to read another chapter book, but I don't have time. Please raise your hand. Okay, well, Mark just answered it for me. Mark, next time wait for me to call on you. But Mark said a comma. Sorry, I'm bringing up the chat. He said a comma after but is the comma. I want the comma before but. I'd like to read another chapter, comma, but I don't have time. So right here is going to be my comma in between chapter and but. My favorite genres are science fiction, fantasy, and mysteries. Someone, Molly, tell me, where are my commas going? Who's ever whistling, please stop. Am I not recording this? Oh, I am recording this. Goodness. Yes, we're on number 2. All right, so Molly, you were close. So she said after science, after fiction. Science fiction is one thing. So like realistic fiction, there's a thing called science fiction. So after science fiction, comma. After fantasy, comma. So there would be 2 commas in that sentence. Although Casey likes to read, he didn't like the new book. This one sentence is a dependent and an independent. So my dependent is although Casey likes to read, and my independent is he didn't like the new book. So where do I put my comma at, Rochelle? Just kidding, I meant Hannah. Hannah, where do I put my comma? After read, because this is dependent and this is independent. So we separate them with a comma right in the middle there. Book club meets on Thursday, March 22nd, Tuesday, March 27th, and Friday, April 2nd. There's a whole lot of stuff we have to add here. Who is brave enough? Angelina, walk me through where everything needs to go. There's quite a few punctuation marks. You can, I'm going to mute myself, Angelina, so you can actually say it to the computer because you're far away from me, okay?
Okay. Book club meets on Thursday, March 22nd, semicolon. Tuesday, March 27th, semicolon. And Friday, April 2nd.
Woo! That was a good job. Thank you. So there was commas and semicolons in that one. You did a good job. And lastly, Tom enjoys action series, and Elisa likes romantic comedies. So I'm going to throw in a little comma in between stories and just like the one that has but up there. Okay? Okay. And like I said, we're going to do more together on our thing because those are only 5 examples. The second part we're going to talk about today is an introductory element. And then we're going to talk about the third part tomorrow. So introductory elements are words, phrases, or clauses that appear at a beginning of the sentence. Intro means beginning. Introductory element, beginning element. They add information, but they also are set off by commas to show that they are not part of the main sentence. So here's an example. On the first page, there was a list of important dates. So there was a list of important dates, could all be on its own, but we have this introductory element, comma, to add to it. So here we're going to read the sentences and we're going to figure out what the introductory element is, okay? In October, we started our unit on the Revolutionary War. What is the introductory element that I put a comma there after? Olive, what's my introductory element, do you think? Where could we separate these 2 parts of the sentences? After October. In October, comma, we started our unit on the Revolutionary War. At the beginning of the war, the British promised freedom to enslaved African Americans if they would join their army. This one's a little bit harder. I'm just going to tell you, this one would be at the beginning of the war. This one is not my favorite because it's so long. Because it couldn't just be at the beginning because you need of the war. So I don't like number 2. There won't be like one like number 2 on your test. So scratch out number 2. Well, some African Americans did not believe the British would keep their promise. What's my introductory element here? Rochelle. After well. So well is my introductory element. Check. Unfortunately, others did believe the British, who ended up losing the war. What's my introductory element here? Evan, what's my introductory element in number 4? Okay, it's number 4. Read it. Okay. It's on your screen. What was the question? Okay, that's why we need to be sitting up and paying attention. The word is, what is our introductory element for number 4? Julian, stop making hand motions in the screen, buddy. Just unfortunately. Unfortunately, comma. I also don't really love number 5, so we're not going to do number 5. And 6. Yes. But even more had fought bravely to achieve independence from British rules. Zach, what's my introductory element? Others. Okay. So there's not the word others in number 6. So I don't know where others would be. I don't see others anywhere on this page. Try again. What is the introductory word of number 6? Okay. Introductory. Let's go over that again. Is at the beginning. Barely or bravely is in the dead center. So that would not be the beginning. Hannah. Yes, after yes. Introductory means at the beginning. All right. We are going to skip over to your homework, which you are free to pull up on, like have mine open and have your open to follow along with us. We're going to do a few together on each pages. We've only gone over 2 parts. Tomorrow we will go over the 3rd part and finish it out, okay? But right now we're going to do a few together. So as you're bringing that up, I'm just going to read the directions. So punctuation in compounds and complex sentences. Once again, a compound sentence has 2 independent clauses joined by coordinating conjunction and a comma. So but and so is in a compound sentence. A compound sentence is just separated by a complex sentence is just separated by a comma, has a dependent and an independent. So they need each other. Commas are used to separate 3 or more things in a series if we're making a list, and semicolons are used when the items in the series contain a comma. So for 1 through 5 right here, all we have to do is add punctuation. But every time you add punctuation, you have to highlight where you put the punctuation so we can see it. So number 1, I want to go to the movies, but I don't know the movie times. Those are, I want to go to the movies could be by itself. I don't know the movie times could be by itself. And but is a conjunction. So what type of sentence is that? I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to call on someone. You're going to tell me what type of sentence it is and where I need to put punctuation.
After the movies? A compound sentence?
Yes, it is a compound sentence. So, I know I was muted, Eden. Olive was talking. So, it was, or this is a compound sentence because this is independent, this is independent, and here's my coordinating conjunction, which makes it a compound sentence. So we need to add the comma before but after movies. And I highlighted it. I added a comma and I highlighted it. That way we can see it. Okay? Number 2, we'll do together as well. Although it was very cold outside, Jathia decided not to wear a coat. This one's totally trying to tell us where the comma goes because it's blue underlined. So this one should not be hard. I want to know what type of sentence it is and where my comma goes, Molly. It goes after outside, before the girl's name. And what type of sentence is it? Is it a series sentence, a complex, or a compound? It is a complex because it has, although it was cold outside, it's dependent. That could not be all by itself. The girl not wearing a coat could be by itself, and there's no conjunction, which makes it complex. So look, there's already 2 done. If I come by your screen in a minute, you better already have these 2 done, okay? You only have 3 more to do here. And introductory elements, this is where all you have to do is read the beginning and throw in a comma. So remember, introductory elements are words, phrases, or clauses that appear at the beginning of a sentence. They add information, but they are not part of the main sentence. To show they are introductory elements that are set off by commas. So we are going to highlight each introductory word or phrase, then correctly punctuate the sentence, okay? So we are going to correctly punctuate it and highlight it, okay? Let's do this one. In fact, enslaved people could be punished for learning how to read and write. What is my introductory element here, Kylan? In fact, enslaved people could be punished for learning to read and write. Tell me what the introductory words are. You don't have to tell me where the comma goes. Which words are set off from the beginning of the sentence? In fact, enslaved people could be punished for learning to read and write. Anyone want to help her out? Michaela?
In fact.
It is. In fact is our introductory sentence or phrase. And after that, we need a comma. So make sure you add your comma after introductory sentence. Let's do the last one. In my opinion, Frederick Douglass continues to inspire others. What is our introductory element here, Ava? In my opinion. What? I can't hear you.
Could be.
I still can't hear you. And it is, in my opinion, Frederick Douglass continues to inspire others. What is my introductory word or phrase? It is A at the beginning of the sentence, and B is set off. It doesn't really go with the rest of the sentence. Well, it goes with it, but not really. We are now on the last one, which I have already read twice. In my opinion, Frederick Douglass continues to inspire others. We have already done the one with enslaved. See, it's already done. We are now on the last one, Ava. In my opinion, Frederick Douglass continues to inspire others. What is the introductory phrase here, Ava? Opinion. You have to have in my opinion. In my doesn't mean anything. In my opinion means something. So in my would need to be highlighted, and you of course have to add that tiny little comma after it. So make sure you are actually highlighting when it asks to highlight, because then we won't be able to see the commas and stuff. They're really hard to find. So right now, we are going to stop here for today. Tomorrow, we're going to learn about commas with direct address and tag questions, and we will also review. Wednesday, we will not have a live grammar. We'll have Mrs. Bunch instead. Thursday, we will go over all of this together. So you should not be doing page 3, 4, or 5 today. You should be doing 1 and 2, okay? Tomorrow, you could do 3 and 4. Wednesday, you could do 5, okay? But we have only gone over page 1 and 2. Do not go further than that. We will feel free to look over those and do them tonight. That way you could come back with questions tomorrow. Thank you for playing along. I will see you guys later. Any questions? Anyone? Questions? Going once, going twice? If not, you are free to leave me. Those of you in class, we only have about 10 minutes left in school.